Ancora mare verso lì, ora sei. Seutobrian, Oyatani, Satadelo Kurui. Um, Hi everyone, I am Kara, aka Spirit Mother, and I would like to welcome you well back to my channel on YouTube, Spirit Teachings of Going Within Self, on TikTok, 1974 Enlightened Soul, and I'm also live on my Facebook. If you're new to my channel, I always recommend, suggest, and I really encourage you to read the description on my YouTube channel, Spirit Teachings of Going Within Self, to get a better understanding of what it is that I do bring forward on my channel. I have a today I have a really bad, like I have a toothache. I think my wisdom tooth is growing in and it's kind of pushing on the other teeth. And putting all that aside, I come in today because I want to talk about the different forms of Christianity, okay? Because I've been seeing a lot of different stuff on TikTok, and I'm not a it's I scroll through certain things will draw my attention to it, and Spirit will say, okay, listen to this, and what have you. Now, I'm not religious, okay? I don't pick a specific religion or what have you. I have different forms of different religions all around the house because I believe that every religion has something beneficial to bring to the collective, okay? It's not about believing one way or the other because when it all comes back to it, it's, or do you believe in yourself, okay? Now, I know that there's religions where it's just all about God, like that there's one God and one God only. But see, the thing is it just one God, or is it just, or is it different aspects of God and how God is perceived? Okay, or some people don't even believe in God. Some people are atheists. They believe in what is it? Not manifestation, but I'm trying to get that word. It's right there. Well, moving on, it'll come to me. Okay. The placebo effect. Thank you. Whoever brought that forward for me, I appreciate that. It is. It's much of a placebo effect. Okay. Manifestation is another form of a belief. Other people believe in just meditation, and other people believe in prayer. And it all comes and it all plays into one. And the Christianity gets separated. I was coming in to talk about liberal Christianity, conservative Christianity, progressive Christianity. And a woman commented when I had said about doing this the other day, someone had commented and asked Polarian Christianity, something about when I read about it, it had to do with Paul. So I brought that up, and I don't know a lot about it, but we're going to go through it together because I believe that in every religion has, like I said, something to bring to the collective because it's morally or how do I, okay, I'm trying to explain it because there'll be a lot of people who get offended by what I say. And if you get offended by what I say, then you're actually not getting the point because, you know, when you have that, like I have an analytical mind, okay? And I see things from different perspectives and it's pulling it in. That's why, like, when I went to, when I started in university and I was taking Killing and Letting Die in philosophy, I didn't so much get that, okay? Because it's bringing in a whole lot of stuff that you're over, there's analytical thinking and then there's over analyzing things to the point where everybody wants to have their control over something. Okay. We'll say, like, some Christianities, you don't believe in abortion, and some you do. You have the different forms. Okay. And whether abortion is morally right or morally wrong, that's not up to you to decide. It's up to the person who's having the abortion, and then they're the ones left asking themselves, well, why did I do it? Did I do the right thing, or what have you? And in cases, you know, it is right. I watched a video, and I don't know if it was just a fucking dupe or what it was, but it had this young girl, and she had this thing. It looked like fucking blood clots in a plastic thing, and she was opening it up, and she was all proud because she was eating. She said she was eating a woman's miscarriage. Are you fucked in the head to even joke about something like that? And yeah, I do say that because that's like, where's your mindset? What's like, what is it like, really, to think or even put that up? And TikTok will friggin' blank people or shadow ban people for showing cartoon naked pictures on their fucking tarot cards. But yet there's people up there saying, oh, I'm eating a lady's miscarriage, and you're a fucking young girl. What type of religion is that? What type of belief system is that? Where's your fucking morals to even joke about something like that? I've had 3 miscarriages, and neither one, sorry, 2 miscarriages, one for a set of twins. So it was actually 3 miscarriages because they sent me home the first time. Do you know how devastating a miscarriage is? And for whether or not you were actually eating a fucking dead fetus, you're fucked in thinking that it's okay to even joke about it. And TikTok, you ought to be ashamed of yourself for even allowing that and telling other people that they can't put their shit forward because, oh, it goes against your guidelines. That type of stuff really irritates me. So the different forms of Christianity, when everybody's fighting over, you don't have to believe me. You don't have to be in my channel. My channel's not for everyone. I'll make you laugh. I'll make you cry. I'll piss you off. We'll have indifferences. But I see things that, it's like, what? Who thinks that a miscarriage of any form, your body is, a miscarriage is your body's aborting it, but they'll tell you that you're in the wrong because your body aborted it. Whoever thinks that, there's 2. I'm not like, I will insult to Christianity if need be. Because that's not the true Christianity. A Christianity is Christ consciousness. It was nothing about believing this way or that way. But you're going to. And I can't tell you how to that you have to think differently or what have you. Today's Sunday. People going to church, no matter what religion you are. Some people go to church on Saturday. Religion has done nothing but divide people because people don't actually see the bigger picture of it all because you're being shown different pieces, and each group of people, each cult or collective is led to believe different things, which keeps us fighting. You have Scientology. Ones that they don't believe in science or what have you. Science and spirituality actually goes hand in hand, but it's how are you using it? And holy shit, I'm freaking hot. It's like, I don't always speak English. You'll love me, hate me, like me, loathe me. I'll make you laugh. Like I said, I'll make you laugh, make you cry. You'll even want to punch me upside my head. That's up to you. But, I said it before, like you look at your politics, what's going on there? Well, fucking JD Vance. He's saying that, oh, Christianity. Donald Trump is saying about Christianity, but yet, he took an Islamic oath and he transferred it to Judaism. So he's playing all the fields, which, causing more conflict. Okay? And you don't have to believe me on this. You don't have to agree with me on this. That's entirely up to yourself. But I'm allowed to question these things. And if anybody wants to tell me that I'm not allowed, well, you can not stand. Just like you tell everybody else, right? That dice que tú por qué mundo. Tú decidirías eso. I don't know I don't always speak English. I speak the language of spirit. That's why I put a video up with regards to their relationship. You're going to need to understand what spirit is and what it entails. Holy God, what do you see? Shit, I almost feel like I need blinds. It's like shit. I'm taking my heat off and putting my cool air on because I need some cool air right now. It's like people are on here talking about different things. When we bring it. I gotta put some cool air on. Whoa. It's like shit, man. Okay. So I brought up some of the different forms of Christianity. Like here is a picture in the National Post where our politicians are putting cowboy hats on and everything like that. Like seriously, how do you like being a fucking puppet? Because that makes no sense. Like you're trying to fit in, but you're making yourself look like a fucking moron. You're posers when you do that. I bet you do this so I can blend in. That was like Justin Trudeau. It's all about, it all comes back to the religion and fitting in so that, you can adapt to each other's culture instead of like really understanding one another's culture. You mock it. Is tutto tem. Yeah, it's gonna fuck with me right now, and I got no time for it. Isikule Potokon. How many people's electronics have been screwing up on them? Because my stuff really isn't working today. See, I'll show, I have stuff with regards to Christian. I even have the more of a Jewish Kindle holder. Okay. I have crystals, and I want to understand other people's religion, but there's one religion that I don't really understand, and that's where you think it's okay to cut someone's hand off because they're stealing. Because the thing is, those same people that do that under their religion, maybe you should have your fucking hands cut off because you're the ones that have your dirty hands involved. Just saying. Pauline Christianity, that was the one they brought forward. Okay? To me, the true Christianity is Mary Magdalene. C'est la douée. Et merci que tu peux le chalet. And you know, the men don't like, certain men don't like the aspect of Mary Magdalene because how dare a female be dominant? I'll ask this, you know, because there's men who like the women dominant in the bedroom, but by fuck, you don't want them dominant in the world, right? Because women are only good for sexuality in certain religions, right? You're there to be seen and not heard, and only be seen when needed or wanted or something. I'm not saying because it's neither male nor female, it has to do with masculinity and feminine. Oh, come on, you guys, fuck off. I'm getting tired of this bullshit. They want to mess around with technology. So hey, I know what group of people you are. And let's just say we see you. Okay, so let's put them all up because we're going to do this. Because I see people writing on things, oh, you're liberal and this, and you know, you're mocking, you're going after and attacking people's beliefs. Okay, you say, oh, the liberals are bad, and oh, the conservatives are bad. There's different types of conservatives, just so you know. There's ones that think you have to be so goddamn uptight that it's like you got a fucking thorn up your ass and you're running around with your butt cheeks closed tight. Like, holy shit. Don't like that too fucking bad. Close your cheeks a little tighter. Sí, no te quedo. Get my little table out. I've been, I get to drink a lot of water because I do need more water. So, okay. When I was in Alberta, I met a woman and she said that she was conservative and like the conservatives, a lot of them are like, you know, oh, sorry, don't you be showing cleavage now. If you're showing cleavage, you're a slut, you're a whore, you're this, you're that. And even men and other women will say it to each other about with regards to the amount of skin they're showing. Okay, so here's progressive. Okay, because you have your conservative, you have your progressive conservative, and you have your liberals. Okay, with regards to your politics, right? Okay, so progressive represents a range of related perspectives in contemporary theology and practice. It is a postmodern theological approach which develops out of the liberal Christianity of the modern era. Okay, I understand that. Like, you know, you have your You have your homosexual, you have your straight, your transgender, you have your pan, which that's entirely up to yourself. But please tell me why it is so important that people have to know someone's sexual preference or how they identify. Please, please tell me that. Because if you think that transgender just originated recently in the past present era, are you serious? Tell me, are you a Christian child? Okay? Although progressive Christians would claim the ideas relating Christianity to social justice are at the heart of the Christian message and stem from biblical themes. What is justice? Okay, what do you class to be justice? You class somebody stealing a loaf of bread, so you fucking chop their hand off? That's justice? No, that means that there is an imbalance. And maybe the ones who are cutting other people's hands off, like I said, maybe your hand should be cut off first because you're the ones who most likely have your hands deep in the book. That's the hypocritical part. And it doesn't matter if it's a progressive, conservative, liberal, or Pauline, it doesn't matter. It's in each one. Everyone has that hypocrite part to themselves, even if they don't want to admit to it. Myself, I still catch myself being a hypocrite. At least I can admit to it. Integrating and moving beyond the Enlightenment concerns of liberalism. Progressive Christianity is a post-liberal theological movement. Holy fuck, it's hot like that. It's like shit. Wait, 1 second, please. I really gotta put a different shirt on. Shit. I have the sun coming in on me. I have the cool air on, and I have a window slightly open. When you do this, you actually I find the sun is hotter now, and it's really strange because I mean I got new windows put in. New windows were put in, so it might be different for me because I'm used to it being really cold in here. But holy shit, I'm not going through menopause, but I sure the heck feel like I am. Okay. So, progressive Christianity, as described by its Herod's is characterized by a willingness to question tradition, acceptance of human diversity, a strong emphasis on social justice and care for the poor and the oppressed, and environmental stewardship of the earth. I've been like today, I've been really like busy. It's like get down, sit down, sit down. Okay, I believe in the use of crystals and energy healing and what have you. And that was what was being taught, but by teaching others how to heal themselves and connect directly to the source, spirit, the energy, what you perceive, God, creator, what have you. It's that part, when I say that, people get really irritated. And it's like, why do beliefs irritate people so much? Okay? I understand that in some cultures, they say that, they'll marry a child. I'm sorry, but I don't agree with that. And I'm actually not sorry for not agreeing with that. I think it's gross. I was 9 years old and I was raped by a 19-year-old who actually finds a child attractive. Seriously, if you do need help. And I will say, you do need help. And you should be thrown in jail and taken to task for what you're doing because you need help yourself because it was happening to you as a young child for you to even think it's right. Where that would even come into, like I'd have to ask, like, if you're believing in Christ or anything like that, I have to ask, was Jesus molesting children? Seriously, was Christ, was Muhammad, was Allah, or whoever the fuck you believe in? Were they molesting children? Because if they were, then they're not a God that I want to look up to or even fucking worship, nor be my Messiah. Just saying, here, I'm right here. Persikito por ikanutan. Eskulat to Teresa na kita. O sutumay. Instead of like people getting their hands chopped off, maybe they, well, I mean, if you're a pedophile and you're molesting or you're raping children and things like that, or anybody for that matter, maybe you should have your pecker or your vagina stitched up or your fucking hands chopped off, your tongue pulled out. Seriously. Because that is the biggest heinous crime that you can do. My question is, as a child, how did you like it happening to you? Or was it told to you that it was fucking normal because it's not? And I don't care what religion that falls under. Because I'll tell you one thing. It's not one religion doing it. It's the bunch of humanity, diversity, justice, poor and oppressed, and environmental on the earth. Okay? So when they say do unto others as you would want others to do unto you, you're out raping children, you're molesting children, you're defiling children, you're defiling each other. Did you really like it being done to you? Because if you did, then I have to question you. I had a guy back, it was like back in 2012 or 2013. He asked me if I would be with a 14-year-old with him because he likes to go to these retreats. He goes to the retreats so that he can pick up little children. That's what I said earlier with regards to tourism. These tourist play attraction places where you take your kids to the hotel, like you get lots of food and music and alcohol and what have you. While you're doing this, these predators are coming in and they're defiling your children. Or some of these parents are going because they're selling their children because it's accepted. Morally, it's not accepted. And I don't care what religion. Because to me, Christ consciousness is waking up to that stuff. Yes, they normalized kids touching one another. It's like when that happens, you have to question is where like this is being exposed to them somehow, whether a child is coming out and seeing their parents, or whether the child is seeing a parent watch pornography, or they're being exposed to pornographic stuff. That's a form of like, like you're it's also with regards to the bringing up of the Florida press. But people will think that, and I've heard people voice it. Somebody close to me even says, "Well, you have to have the rich, the poor, or the rich, the middle class, and the poor to keep the balance." No, that's not a balance. That's an imbalance, and that's an egotistical way of thinking. Because the only ones that truly think that way are the ones who think they're better than everyone else, and they have to have someone underneath them to make themselves feel bigger and more superior. It's like think of the earth as being much like your body. Your body gets violated, the same as you violate the earth. You rape the earth, you strip it of its natural gifts. When you rape a child or an innocent person, you're stripping them of their worth. Which those people who are doing that, you're doing it because you've had it done to you. So you know what it feels like. So it's that part of, they they end up getting off on it. It's like a lot of people that have that done, they feel like they're the dirty ones. They're not the dirty ones at all. The ones that are having it done, you're not the dirty ones. But your predator will make you feel like you are. I don't need a religious text or a progressive Christianity or conservative Christianity or liberal or Pauline Christianity to tell me that it's wrong. Progressive Christians have a deep belief in the certainty and the instruction to love one another. That's progressive, to love one another. John 15:17, within the teachings of Christ, okay? Well, it's how you perceive it, okay? And, you know, people go to church, and what do you hear in church? Every time I went to church, It created indifference. They always said about the Israelites and the Christianity and what have you. It's like, fuck off. Really, seriously. People are saying that it's the Jewish Israel and what have you that's causing all the stuff. You know, it is Israel that's bringing in the food because they don't want you to eat animals. Like, you know, they say, well, we're meat eaters. In the beginning, we weren't meat eaters. We became animalistic through DNA splicing. So that's why I say, if you think that DNA splicing just started like in our era, no. How the fuck do you think you were created? They're using pig parts or monkey parts and they're putting them into people. You look at your ancient civilizations that you say are ancient civilizations, they're actually not the ancient civilizations. They're your future. And you're being shown it. And you're being asked, are you going to continue to repeat it? Are you going to go towards that? Or are you going to change? It's your ancestors that you're seeing. Well, your descendants. That's why they say future proofs past. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist, it doesn't take a genius to look at what you're being shown, but oh wait, certain people won't look at that because well, they're distant. If they were your family, then you wouldn't fucking be here. You look at CRISPR. I hear people talking about CRISPR and DNA splicing and all that stuff, but you won't believe that what you're digging up is actually your future. It's showing you your future. But you won't believe that, right? And why won't you believe that? I said it before, you know, they're putting aborted feces or aborted feces. Yeah, they're putting feces in your stuff too. Aborted fetuses. And they are. They're putting those in your vaccines, like I said. Like they're putting diseases in your vaccines. And then you wonder why the diseases are coming back and you say, oh, I'm going to pray to God. How about instead of like always saying, I'm going to pray to God, how about looking into it and fucking doing something about it? Changing it. That's why everything was documented. That's why you're seeing like like when you look into ancient civilizations. The stuff here. It's telling you. It's telling you all about the splicing. It's a journal. It's your journal. Trying to look like animals, wanting to be like an animal. Okay, some people, you know, you want to be like a leopard because you can run fast. How do you think some of these, because it's genetically modified? Sile Mikutoyena. There's the ones with the cars and stuff. Right here. Like it's showing you that you don't get that. Like you have the cats producing the feline. Those are actually depictions of giants. And people think that the giants came after you. No, giants were here before you. You're just being told that. But you won't believe me on that because, and then the bird people. Do you ever look at someone's face? I went with someone to the hospital. I don't know why I got out of there. I went with someone to the hospital. And I was looking at this nurse. She came in to ask the questions and stuff like that. And I told her that I know this is going to sound strange, but like I can see where you originate from, your hybrid. I could see that she was a form of a gray hybrid. Because grays are into scientific. But the grays have come back to tell us, this is what we're doing. We're getting out of, we're too far in one or the other. You have no heart. They like when you're experimenting, it's like when you're experimenting on animals, you're cutting up the animals and well, we want to know what their insides are like. Why? What does it matter? It's like your technology. What's good technology and what's not so great technology? What's going to hurt? What technology is going to hurt people, and what technology is going to help people to grow? You are the technology, the true technology, but you're dumbed down by all of the division, by the division of your religious beliefs, your traditions. People say rituals. If you're cutting someone up or you're sacrificing someone else for, for your religion, or you're sacrificing as, your God wants you to, your God wants that. Let's find that God because that God needs help. And it's not the God that I look to. It's a God that I pity and feel sorry for. So I am going to say, like, in your God's names and stuff like that, like Cronus, Zeus. Zeus and Cronus are very much the same. They're like the father, Uranus. But those aren't the names that everybody uses. They were the offspring of a god. So I don't get this part where, you're fighting over conservative and liberal and progressive, and you're putting politics in with religion and religion in with politics, not realizing that they're both working together. And it has nothing to do with what's right for the people. It's like to be a true leader, you have to see things from every perspective to bring it together, removing what doesn't serve the people. Because right now, what you're seeing. It's not what serves the people, but it's what serves the higher ups who believe that they are the kings and queens when they're actually not. They're not even very good leaders. Because if they were good leaders, then they wouldn't be looking for the people to follow them. Just saying. Doesn't matter if you're progressive, liberal, conservative, Poland, Catholic, Baptist. I don't give a shit what religion you're. People are even fighting over Christmas and Yule. And it comes down to religion again. Everyday people that use crystals and rituals and spells and stuff like that, they're demonic, but the church uses rituals and that stuff all the time. And, your manufacturers, they use crystals and put them in your gadgets. But then they demonize them if you use them for healing purposes. Cultures will say, oh, they colonized us and stuff like that, and dug up the ground and took the gold and everything like that. But those are the same people that are wearing fucking gold chains and diamond earrings and necklaces and everything and saying, oh, they colonized us. No, they brought colonization to you, but you colonized yourself because you started doing the same thing because you have to fit in. You chose to put on that gold necklace that you said, and those diamonds that you say are blood diamonds. You chose to put them on. It's not that money is evil. It's whose hands is it in. It's okay to have things, but who are you hurting to get them? Why is it not equal? Oh, right, because there's so many people that believe you have to have the rich, the middle class, and the poor in order to have a civilization. No, that's the leaders who told you that. That's the brainwashing. They tell you, oh, well, we'll manage your money. They don't know how to manage it. They know how to steal it, but they don't know how to manage it for people because they don't care about the people. And the ones that do care about the people, they're the ones who get kicked out. So you put leaders in, whether it's what side you're on. You put wealthy leaders in because you say, oh, well, they know how to do this, they know how to do that, they know business. The only business they know how to do is fucking scam you, rip you off, and keep you feeling less than what you are so that they can boost their own ego and jerk their own peppers. Oh, wait, they're doing that to each other. That's happening in your religion, that's happening in your politics, and they're all working together. Not the little people that don't know, that are blinded to the truth. I channeled through me, and I know it was my sixth great granddaddy who channeled it, and it was like, back off, Bola. We ain't taking shit. Well, when you look up when I looked up with regards to Bola, it was a connection of Peter and Paul. My ex-husband just found out recently that your king, the kings and queens that you worship, they're not even They're not. He even found it out, but I told him a while ago. But he just found it out recently that they're not that legitimate. They're illegitimate. But you worship in them, and you're worshiping them one because they'll go to their church and sit in their church and say, "Oh well, we're a Christian. We're this. We're that." No, you're the opposite of what you say you are. Well, I mean, you may be Christian. You may be Catholic, Protestant, evangelical, uh, Pentecostal, Buddhist, Hindu. Doesn't matter. Any religion that says that it's okay to have intercourse with a child, you are the ones that want to exterminate other people because they don't. You want to exterminate someone because they don't believe that you should be sleeping with children. You watch thing with an 8-year-old girl on the way that she died. Doesn't matter. Like it's that. Think of it this way, okay? We'll get into the human body right now, both male and female, okay? The cervix is actually the male penis, just inside out and pulled out. So if they're tearing the inside of a girl's cervix, because that's what happens, you tear the inside of the girl's cervix. How about we take those people, not just circumcise, but tear the foreskin right off? See? Didn't like that, did you? Discrepo to Priam. Discrepo. Right here. You think of it this way. The first time for a woman having intercourse, you need to be gentle, but most aren't because they figure, oh, well, we're just going to stick it in because this would be justice. Maybe you should, you know, if it's a woman doing it, take you and hang you up while you're a lady. If it's a man doing it, take you and hang you up while you're first. Seriously. And any parent or guardian or anybody for that matter that knows that something like that is going on and you don't fucking say anything, maybe you should have the same thing done to you so you understand what it feels like. And then see, I guess that would be well over half the population. There would be justice. Some people want to puke right now, just puking at the fucking pain of it all. So just think of that child, whether it be a little girl or a little boy. Because with a little boy, the women will do the penis, but the men will do the penis. Did I start talking about something that goes on in every fucking religion? But they'll say it doesn't. I don't understand why people have to pick a religion anyways. It's not about a one world religion. It doesn't just happen to children. It gets done to adults. And men are doing it, and women are doing it. And sometimes I'll be honest. And my TikTok. What I mean by more cruel, women have two, three areas, four, five. You have the clitoris hole that they will violate. You have the hole between the vagina and the clitoris, much like where, the male sperm will come from on a man. You have the vagina, you have the anus, you have, and they violate all orifices. And somebody can laugh if they want because I can feel that, and you can go fuck yourself and pound sand before I do it for you. Anybody who thinks it's funny, you really have actual mental health issues because you allowed your spiritual growth to go so low that you have no fucking moral compass. It is sickening. What was it? Donald Trump's spiritual person or what have you. But what happened to Paula White? What happened to her? Because she was his spiritual thing here at the beginning of it. And now it was a guy, and he got caught for molesting a child, or raping a child, or sexually assaulting. Either way, it's just as bad. He got caught, he got 6 months. Really. And somebody came in here and commented on a comment I made with regards to like Donald Trump and the Epstein files and that. And they said, "Oh well, Donald Trump was the one that come forward and said about what Epstein was doing." Did he come forward and say what Epstein was doing because he cared? Or did he come forward and say what Epstein was doing because he was invading his fucking territory? Just saying. People hide behind their religion. Certain people do question traditions. because you celebrate Christmas because you say it was the birth of Christ, but then people question it because at the time of Christ being said to be born, they were running around killing a bunch of kids, toddlers, to find Christ. But you celebrate that. That's what people are questioning. You're celebrating the mass murders of infant children. You know, they have that in the Nutcracker, only you missed that. That's why people question it. To me, I mean, Christ wasn't even born then. It wasn't the 25th at all of December. You know, if Christ was spiritual and connected with God and what have you, you know, if you look at your zodiac signs or zodiac, however the fuck it's pronounced. If you look at that, Cancer is the one that is most connected to the spiritual world. Seriously. That's why when you put two cancers together, holy fuck, man, it can be utter madness. Because they're both constantly channeling both sides of your religious spiritual beliefs. Because it's it's the Trinity. You know, you're progressive, you're conservative, you're liberal. People say that Jesus was God in human form. How many of you realize that every one of you is God in human form? You just haven't figured that out yet because you live under a system. You live under the systems integrated into society, which lead you to believe that you are weaker than the system when you are actually stronger than it. And that's why he said, when he said, I am great, but you are greater than I. Am I toting the Bible? No, I'm just saying what everybody else brings forward, right? It's okay for you to. But the minute a lay person that you say is inexperienced and has no fucking clue what they're talking about because you're a scholar, I'll look to spirit before I'll look to a book, no matter what side the spirit's coming from. It gets a chance to tell its story without being manipulated by someone who thinks that they know what they're talking about. See, my question is, why does a man of power want to take away the power of a woman if they so believe that they are more powerful than a woman? Why? If you're more powerful than a feminine, then why do you have to try and downgrade them and say that what they do is of no importance? A little bit of low self-esteem, don't you have? So to the ones that want everybody believing in Trump, I don't believe in him. because he's not my king, he's not my God, and whether you put a fucking crown on his head, he's still not my king, or my high priestess, or my people say, oh, he's on this side, and he's doing it for people. What's he doing for people? Because for somebody who said he wants the Epstein files to come out, is not bringing them out, and people are saying, oh, well, he was the one that exposed Epstein. Well, if he was the one that exposed Epstein, why the fuck aren't the documents out there? Oh, wait. Because the only reason why he would try to expose Epstein was to keep the limelight off of him, because they were in competition with one another. You're on my turf, dude. Wasn't Donald Trump mad and said that he was no longer friends with Epstein because he went to Mar-a-Lago and took some of his girls? Dog. Woof woof. Or should I say, seriously. What did Christ do? Christ took the demons, it said, the demonic entities, and cast them out into pigs. Only brings the pigs out when they want something, right? See, the true God is actually listening to those pigs to find out what really happened. It's the MAGA. You're high, like you're Christian. You want the files, but they're not there. They're taking away women's rights. They're trying to strip women of anything. My ex-husband, he brought to me because he said about back times before of what happened to men. They committed men. Well, they electrocuted the men and raped their women and children. And I told him, I already told you that stuff. So why are you bringing it to me now? So you didn't believe me when I brought it forward to you, but you'll believe it as long as somebody else brings it forward. But God forbid a woman do that. So, I'm going to be honest. I've seen more women come forward to protect than any man who says that a man protects. Because I've yet to see a man protect me. Because you're not. Even boys will try to protect a woman before a man will. And that's because they were brought up properly. And when I say that, because I know people got offended by that, brought up properly. They were brought up to respect the woman, the feminine. They were brought up to be able to respect their own feminine master. You say Donald Trump got shot in the ear. You didn't. No, he didn't. Why do you think you see all these ones that are going out and they have the WWE, or better not call it WWF anymore, WWE, because it's entertainment. They're giving you a show. Donald Trump. Dude, how can you be when you got shot in the ear when you can't even take a fucking small insult? Come on, the kind of girl that is in the look to get after the eso tuya. Just saying. This is what goes back and forth with your religion. Who's, excuse me, confirmation. Who's superior? Who's more superior? You think women are real, feminines are really actually lower on the totem pole? A woman is a jack of all trades, and a male, a masculine, thinks they have to be a master of one. Right, but I'll stick to the jack of all trades instead of a master of one. Because you can't even master your own. Oh, wait, you do have the ego master to the point where it's a pompous ass. Gender neutral. Because there are women that are far in their masculine. You know, religion is actually separated by the masculine and feminine. You know, you have people that say about the feminists. Well, they're not the proper. They're not. You demonize feminism, but the feminists that hate men give feminism a bad rap. And the same as masculinism. It works the same way because nobody knows how to find it. It's finding the balance between the two and realizing that you are both. So I say a woman is feminine energy is more apt to be a jack of all trades. We are adaptable. We adapt to our surroundings. We can do multiple things at once. Whereas a master of one, that's where you get right now, where in your countries everything is off balance because you're saying, oh, well, we're bringing our businesses back. Well, what the fuck did you send them away for in the first place? Oh, right. Child labor, cheap labor. You divided yourself into saying, well, I want to be a master of this and I want to be a master of that, instead of being open to learning many different things so that you don't have to rely on someone else to produce that for your country or produce that. You have it all here. You have the ability to do it in your own country, but you're always sending things afar and then saying, oh, well, they're stealing it. No, they're not fucking stealing it. You're giving it away. The same as you're giving your sovereignty away. You're giving your freedom away because you're leaving it to someone else who you think is the power, whether it be in religion or politics, which, you know, it's all the same thing. But you say, oh, no, it's not. Fucking right it is. You know, why do you think Donald Trump was screaming, I'm not going to let anybody hurt the Christians or anything like that, but that he's, you know, doing Islamic things? Aren't they fighting with one another? You know, the Jews and Christians came together. It was a separation. The Muslims and Christians came together. You know, there's your fight. The two different two parts of like the more common. I found that out when I was doing it. It all started with two brothers. People say, "Oh, Jesus was this religion or he was of that." No, he was not. Nor is Mary Magdalene. They might have been born into a family of a specific religion, but they chose not, and that's why they didn't fit in. They thought for themselves, even though it's like you're going by your biblical test as that being the names of them. Where do you think Christ consciousness came from? Christian is a Christ consciousness. Christopher is a Christ consciousness. Christopher means the Christ crucifier. Christian is Christ. It could be Christ ideology. Or let's see, Christian. Let's okay. So Christopher is Christ crucifier. That would be what you would consider. Okay, say you say about the Antichrist. Okay, I'm going to take you into a computer system. You get a virus. What do you rely on? You rely on an antivirus to correct the virus, to go after the virus in the computer. So you go after you go get the antivirus. So then what is an antichrist? You say it's, demonized, right? Say it's bad. Well, how does that make any sense whatsoever? If a computer, you're much like a computer, okay? You are much like a computer. You have a brain. A computer has a brain. Okay? So your computer, you go get an antivirus to counteract the virus. So wouldn't that be the same? You get an antichrist to go after what's wrong. I am always going to question how much sense that makes. Talking about the beast. Who is the actual beast? What is the actual beast? The actual beast is the false programming. What is the false programming? The false programming is the programming that tells you that you have to rely on the system. You have to rely on someone else to find your own divinity. As you learn, if they can keep you down, no matter what religion you're looking at, because they're all working, the biggest majority of the religions are all working together to keep secrets. And there are some that are trying to bring them out. And what happens when they try bringing them out? Well, they go missing, right? Or, it's like if you watch the movie The Matrix and you have the guy who was helping, and then all of a sudden he chose to go after food and everything like that because he wanted the wealth. He didn't want to be in poverty stricken anymore. And that's where you have sublime to the ridiculous. In order to be humble, people say you have to have nothing. In order to be something, you have to have everything. And then you say the middle class. And that's how you have the balance. Well, how do you have a balance? You still have the rich up here, the poor down here. Wouldn't middle be everyone be equal? That's what justice represents, the balance. And it approaches through life. There's just like that. Bring it. You slept all night. I'm a little chilly now. Down enough, but I'm sweating from sitting. There was many times that I was trying to understand life. There was many times that I felt like, I had to go to church in order to, find something that I was missing. But what I was actually missing was the part of me that, yourself that you need to believe in. I've seen many, oh, weird. See the blue? I don't remember when I drew that cross. But to me, the cross, it's the T. And T represents truth, Trinity. In 96, I was taking, like, I never liked school, right? You're always, you're always told you have to learn things this way. But you teach things one way, and if you have a difference of opinion or you see something differently, then you fail, right? You fail. If you don't have the answers that they give, then they fail you in school, correct? You're wrong. I sure know you're right. So in 96, I was still trying to figure things out. So my mom had like not a massive heart attack, but she had a heart attack one day at an exhibition. And I didn't want the doctor to take her because well, for one, I didn't trust the doctor because it was the doctor that was too drugged up on medication that she was getting her patients to get and bring to her. She was the reason why I had a miscarriage in 94, or sorry, not, yeah, 94, because I have a rare blood type. And when I went to her, oh, go home, you're going to have a miscarriage. But those are the kind of doctors that are left to be able to be doctors. And if their license are suspended or taken from them, all they have to do is move to the next province over, and they're allowed to practice. Do you know the complications that I had? Because she told me that she told me that I was going to lose. She told me that twice. She couldn't be bothered. So I didn't want my mom going with this food. I didn't even figure that she should even be in an emergency room taking care of patients. And yes, I do blame the doctor because the doctor didn't do her job. I could have died because I was hemorrhaging. My second miscarriage, the same thing. When I was hemorrhaging internally, she didn't even do a fucking exam. She just told me to go home. So there's your system for you. And then people will fight over abortions and what have you. So you'd rather a person die. Should there be a limitation on the person having an abortion? Yes. Should you be taking precautions if you don't want to get pregnant? Yes. But you know, sometimes things happen. So my mom had this heart attack. Like I said, not a major heart attack. But this here poem I actually read at my grandmother's funeral because she did die of a massive heart attack. On a moonlit night, on a moonlit night, under the stars, they were so very bright. I sat, I heard a sound. It was a man, his voice so soft and sweet. His voice was calling to me to let me know that everything would be all right. I looked through the stars, once more I knew it was time to go. I felt in my heart a beat. I knew that I had to let go, for he was calling me so. On a moonlit night, I got too weak. My words went silent and very low. But before I left, I told her, I love you so. Now I can attribute that to the night that I died on my couch at home alone, because that was what I experienced. I was being told I had to go home. And then when I come back, that's when I said I love you so. So that was the Christ. That was a true awakening. And this song, I'm a lost cause, no one is a lost cause. A system is what tells you that you are. But spirit tells you that you're wrong. Kasi ito po dito po po. Aso na to tayo suriyam. Ito po dito po yun. Kasi like ito I resonate with the song because that's where I was at one point. I didn't look to religion. I looked here. I looked around me to see, to understand what spirit was trying to tell me. And it wasn't about going to a book. It was going here, inside of you. You want to hear from loved ones who've passed, but you're too wrapped up in the matrix. You're too wrapped up in an ideology that says that, you know, if you say you connect with the spirits, if you say that you're talking to ancestors or your loved ones, you're told that you need to get a psychiatric unit. No, that's with God. You're experiencing spirit. You're experiencing the gift, but they turn it into a hindrance. But they're experiencing it themselves. And it's super the damage beyond repair. We allow ourselves to be damaged beyond repair because we don't see it all that. We just keep seeing the same thing over and over again because we're told over and over again. And you're never shown how to move forward from it. I feel the point of view. So I will go directly to spirit before I will go to a book. I will come on here and read stuff, but spirit will inform me whether or not it is accurate. And you don't have to believe me with regards to that, but I do say, inner peace comes from within. Like I said, you want to look to a religion and believe that you have to worship this or that. Why are you not worshiping me? You say that these people say that God came in Jesus' form, but God is in human form for each of us. And that's why they say, they know what not say or do. Because in all honesty, the God that people look to when you're looking to the system, that's idolizing. And that's what each religion does. It idolizes something, or it teaches you to idolize something when you shouldn't be idolizing nothing. See, people will do things for people and then they get so angry and they take it on their loved ones because they're doing for these people. And when the loved ones ask for some help with something, well, that's who you get angry with. Even if they don't ask for much, because you're always helping someone else that doesn't appreciate it or respect it. They just see you as the go-to. And I've seen this happen where I've told somebody time and time again, this person's going and telling everybody, hey, if you need something done, go to this person. They'll do it because, there's helping and they're setting boundaries because people will take advantage of your kindness. And by doing everything for someone, you're actually not teaching them, learn how to do it for yourself because help isn't supposed to be something that's all the time. So when your religion says, you give to us and we'll disperse it to the people, no, how about we just take it all back from you and we divide it evenly amongst us all and tell you all to go fuck yourself. Yeah, come on. Policia, Durium. This is a spirit to spirit channel. And those spirits know exactly who I'm talking to. And if you're experiencing something from this, hey, then I guess you're connected to those spirits either way. Some will want to punch me, and someone will relate to me. And the ones who won't get me, it's because nobody or nothing likes a mirror or truth coming forward. And it is true. And the thing is, people know that it's truth, but we will never want to face it. The thing is, I never wanted to face things about myself. And I hated, I didn't hate, I despised the mirroring. It's like when you get mirrored, it's like that child having that temper tantrum when it's not getting what it wants. You don't get sympathy. Some people will do more to get sympathy. If you don't get recognized for something you do, well, it's like that Mad TV and Stewart on there. Look what I can do. Oh, right? That's the ones that want to grab attention. And, your political stuff right now, they're seeking your attention. They're like little children that want to be seen and heard. And someone would say, "Oh, well, you're on here and the stuff you say, you just want to be seen." Like, no, I don't give a fuck if you see me. But I'm not going to stop trying to make sense of why we are the way we are. They're doing the human experiment. You're the experiment. You're scientific. They're learning. You're learning. Only they're playing dirty with learning. They're cutting you apart. Everyone is strong this long. That's why, like, with regards to people saying about others being killed for what they do, kind of like being taken to justice, yes. But the part of it is that even if you don't care about them or love them, someone does. Whether it's what you say is family or friends or a complete stranger. That's the part of justice and figuring out what true justice is. Justice for somebody stealing is not about fucking hand off. It's not about stoning a man or a woman because there's been adultery. Mind your fucking business. Let them sort it out. Seriously. Queria seguir trabalhando online. And that religion with regards to cutting the hand off, killing the person for adultery or stoning them to death, that's the same religion. Who the fuck do you think you are? Not being rude, but hey, you're a big part of the problem doing that because you don't see the true problem. Or maybe the ones that are doing this to think it's right, they're the true problem because they're the ones who think they're in charge of it. make you go blind, make you go deaf, try to mute you. And why do they say, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil? Because once you start seeing it, hearing it, and speaking about it, that's when they see you and try coming out to shut you up, to silence you, to blind you, to deafen you. That's trying to take all your senses from you. What do you think? Yeah? Oh, that feels good, just so you know. That's stupid. Esa voz de tías, es súper, porque sí como ya, dice la porquería. You know, keep your fucking physical hands to yourself. You want to come at me energetically? And it wouldn't be the first time that you energetically gang up on someone. People even do rituals and curses and the what is it? You call them right? Yeah. Will be like my great niece. God love her. Seriously. Dali si kamoy sila. And it could agree. I wrote not understanding life, and it actually helped someone to click in to what I was conveying because they made sense of it, but I was still trying to make sense of it. And they wrote it down and asked me to sign my name to it. And they were the same person that couldn't really talk when I met them in the hospital. They couldn't speak and they couldn't walk. They wouldn't say anything. Maybe it was one of the disciples. His name was Mark. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Peter. But which Peter? Yeah. You have two Peters in the book. So which was the Peter that Mary Magdalene didn't get along with it? Or that thought that Mary Magdalene was less than that? We'll use Mary Magdalene. That's how people know her as. But, that's not her name. And it's not Miriam either. See, some of these scholars, maybe some of them know the real names, and that's why they decide that they want to try to do rituals. Grisito tui, gimishola totorisimuka, tikun. See, we're getting on for Christmas again, and we'll say Muslim would say what is it, Allah? Okay. Like I said, if I know if I know that right, I know that my worst enemy is right, I will defend them. But Allah was, and you have all of Christmas and all the traditions in together because when you sing the song Alleluia, you're saying Allah, 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 Allah. So that's why that would be to them as their God. That's why they're singing Alleluia because the multiverse. To understand spirit, God, what have you, okay, the ultimate creator of the matrix. But there is the creation prior to that, which the creation prior to that was the universes. your universe. I'm a universe. And we're entering into and intertwining into each other's universes. And you're trying to conquer someone else's creation. Why not learn to create your own? It's okay. You have the country where most Muslims, because they're the ones that want to cut off the hands and things like that. Okay, and that's the Sharia. Okay, and I see where they have that because it's part of morals of what they bring forward. But if that's part of morals and people like don't follow it, then maybe you need to look at yourself because you are the one supposed to be setting the example. So you're punishing someone for an example that you have set. How does that make sense? Sorry, but I'm not for asking. And in the religions where women will like you start creating your children at an age to be fighters. I spoke about peacekeepers. My ex-husband said, well, Canada has peacekeepers. Well, that's Canada, but you also have the ones that send out to kill other people. It's like I said before, I didn't come here to be nice on a playground full of bullies. So if I come off as a bully, you might want to ask yourself, who am I going back after? Because I'm not after the little people who are being bullied. I'm after the bullies. So sometimes you have to become a bully of the bullies in order for them to see themselves. So that's why I say sometimes, certain times, if you're not going to help the people that are going after the bullies, then get the fuck out of the way if you don't want to be in the crossfire. Or, that's what we're doing. We're stepping in, and each side thinks that the other side is a bully. That's why you have, like, okay, what you're perceiving, whatever multiverse it's on, where Donald Trump is saying that he wants to hang specific Democrats because of them saying to remind the military of the oath they've taken. So because they're telling, it's the oath, the Constitution, but if you go and you defend a man who is doing this to people, then you're not doing the oath. And then with Donald Trump, who was told did the Islamic oath, which is Islamic oath is being on like it's much like I'd say double agent, but it's more than a double agent. So you have the head guy of the Matrix, Okay, the one that is perceived in command, like when you watch the movie, and then you have its minions. When you follow politics or religion, you're a minion. You're not truly thinking for yourself, and you're giving your voice to someone else. So that's why I like people at Christmas time. They don't. Some don't celebrate. Some celebrate. Some celebrate Yule, Hanukkah, uh, um, Kwanzaa, and there's a bunch of different ones. Why do you have to call it one specific thing? Because no matter how I look at it, like, you know, you're celebrating, it's like celebrating heaven and earth, but you forget about the other two because there's, and then you say the other death. In religion, you have resurrection, reincarnation, but do you know what it is? Do you think it's actually about physically dying? Why do you have to have a physical death to have a or a resurrection? A rebirth is moving on from something and moving to the next level. Resurrection is coming back from the pain and over. But you always have to have something that sounds more threatening, more fear driven. That, oh, in order for this to happen to you, you have to go through death, experience a physical death. You don't experience a physical death to resurrect and be rebirth. It's not about going and back being baptized into a different religion. A baptism is yourself releasing those deep inner memories, those deep inner teachings, those deep inner generational experiences. Genetics. Say it's through the generations is passed down, yes, but it's more of a mental spiritual thing than it is so much a physical disease. Becomes a physical disease because it manifests into a physical disease. It can have diarrhea. I can feel that in my body because there are so many that just want to rip the hearts out of others because they don't want people to actually feel something, because as you feel something, you start to see truth. I watched a video where this woman, she said she's a nurse, and she's telling her baby she doesn't want a crybaby. And one person commented, it's colicky. No, I know it's not colicky because I'm a nurse. If you're a nurse, then why are you telling your baby that you don't want a crybaby and it shouldn't be crying, when that's actually a way for them to release their own stress, and also a self-soothing? Much the same as a baby sucking your thumb. Some parents will say, I don't want my kids sucking your thumb. Okay, then maybe you don't want your child to learn how to self-soothe and actually solve its own dilemmas. You just want to be the savior and run in and pick it up and go holler at it and say, you just shut up, all you do is try. No wonder you have fucking murderers and killers. Because their true feelings build up and build up inside of them, and then it just comes out like fucking venom, like you say, a snake. You created the snake. But you'll demonize what you created, right? You have the medical society, and they have the sword, and they have the two snakes going up at, what is it you say? There's a medical thing that they demonize the snake. They say that the snake manipulated Eve. It was a snake. A lot of people like to refer to the male penis as being a snake, right? Oh, God damn it. Decido por este. Recluto por qué. So the feminine was infected by the true snake, which was the male genitalia. Mm. It's like, Sapa, Burisika, Arita Burigamoto, I'm allowed to question that part too. Are you gonna, get out your stones? Here, let me help you with that. Which one would you like? I got some here. Oh, shit. I even have bigger ones over here and huge ones in there. Which yes. And if people don't know how ridiculous I look, or don't think that I know how ridiculous I look, well, think again, because I'm looking at myself and I'm really myself. And I don't have time for silly little games. It's like, you're always so serious about everything. No, I'm not. Because all the stuff that's happening in the world today, I just want to take it and shove it right up the fucking system's ass. It's like shoving it up its ass and then making it deal with its own virus. I watched, the Warlock was disguised as a cat because you know, say a cat has 9 lives. Well, if that it's non life, how about you make it feel all of those lives in one, and then it will implode on itself because it couldn't handle the pain. That's why most people, most of us, we don't want to look at that pain because if we look at that pain, we have to go through that pain. It can be very devastating to the body, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And if you don't like that spiritual word, spirituality, because everything is spirit. But you won't believe that, right? Because spirit is energy. I asked somebody, I talk about energy, and they don't like me talking about that, but they say that, spirit is energy. You say, what is God? God is spirit. If God is spirit and spirit is energy, then I guess God and energy are spirit. They said I told Cody. If like it's not about the like that you have to people tell you have to believe in one religion because if you don't believe in the religion that you're brought up in, well then some religions will cast you aside and say you don't belong here no more. Which I guess you don't know what family is because family has nothing to do with having the same beliefs as one another. But it's about understanding it and not mocking it. So I say it's not about a one world religion as people are screaming, oh, one world government, one world religion. Do you hear yourself? Your government is your religious bodies, and your religious bodies is your government bodies because they keep you going back to them. You believe how you believe, but just because we believe a certain way doesn't make that it mean that it's always morally right. You see people on here and they're saying about all pedophiles should be killed. They should be punished, yes. But is it punishment or is it actual, like people will say, I don't like you for what you say? This is coming from someone who was sexually abused, raped, molested, assaulted. They need help. And people say, oh, well, you can't get them help. I've heard people say you can't get them help. If you can't get them help, it's because you weren't listening to them screaming in the first place. And that's where it comes to that part where it's harder to help them. But does anybody take the time to actually ask them? Some won't say because it still feels dirty and I don't think it's right. Because some people, if it's someone they know, a loved one or something like that, that does it, they don't want to say anything because they don't want to get that person in trouble. I guess they should have done it in the first place. But then you have to be asking them what the fuck happened to them. Because abuse stems from abuse. And narcissism creates a narcissist. And it can start off from the time that you come over the womb. But you'll say a narcissist is born. I was sitting around when somebody said that a narcissist is born. No, a narcissist is created. Evil is created. It's not born, it's created. And some people say, no, it's born. They come in with an unbalanced system. They come in with memories from lives and not understanding why they're feeling it because it's a generational thing. It's a memory. But you don't know where that memory came from, right? Your dreams or memories, but they tell them, oh, no, it's just what you did through that day. So if it's what you did, you're having a dream because of what you did through that day. Is it not a fucking memory? You just mean that you don't remember doing that day, but in your sleeping state and your dream state, you actually remember, or you remember something that you experienced, and it's just showing you, flashlight, Men in Black. They'll bring you in masses. They'll show you their true form, and then they'll bring you in masses to wipe your memory clean and give you other memories. You get PTSD from it. And I said PTSD, the spirit's way of showing you something. And until you see what spirit is showing you, then you're going to continue to experience that PTSD. It's like that memory that won't go away. Why won't that memory go away? Because the memory is trying to show you something. There's a piece of that memory that needs to be seen. A truth. But they'll label it as an illness. It's not, it's remembrance that needs to be brought to the surface. And sitting in an office for 45 minutes or an hour is not suffice. It's sitting with somebody and actually figuring out, having that trigger so that you can bring that memory up and help them get to the end of it so that they can release it and let it go. But a lot of people won't see it that way. And they'll tell me that I'm fucking doing it. When you it's mental health, in order to do your job properly, you really need to understand spirit. Because until you do, you're actually not so much helping the patient. If your patient has to keep coming back and keep taking medication for the rest of their life, you're not doing your fucking job. And if that offends you, oh well, you're actually doing wrong by people that you say you're there to help. A lot of people have spiritual experiences and they're too afraid to bring it forward to a psychiatrist or a therapist or what have you because they get deemed as having schizophrenia, psychosis. Seriously, sooner people realize that and understand it, the less you're going to need to go to machines or go sit in an office waiting to be seen and waiting and waiting and waiting. 2 hours later, you're still sitting in the doctor's office because they've overbooked everybody because they say that they're strained. Well, that's why you're strained because you won't listen to people who know what they're talking about because you're too busy making your fucking money and then saying about how stressful your job is. You make it stressful because you don't actually listen to your patients because you think that because you got a certificate or you have a diploma or you have a bachelor's or master's, not your experience, although you want to treat us like you use us for statistics so that you can sound smart when you actually sound ridiculous. And I say ridiculous because you'll use 1,000 people or you use 100 people and you will categorize everybody else under that and then think you're intelligent. That's not intelligence. That's doing your own regulations. And it's not smart. It's not wisdom. True wisdom is actually being able to connect directly to that person's spirit and find out what spirit you're trying to help. Because whether it's that person sitting in front of you, why do you think they say it with multiple personalities? That person is working through many versions of themselves on a spiritual level, meaning spirit. But that's something that the medical mental health that labels you with different disorders doesn't get because they can't comprehend what they can't see. They say like a balloon. They say, went through mental health and they diagnosed me as unexplained. And everybody is actually unexplained. You just want to use a label. ADHD, ADD. That's a gift. And you just don't know how to use it because you're told that it is a burden and a hindrance and it interferes because you won't sit in a fucking chair and shut up and pay attention to what they're teaching you because your brain is telling you something else. Your body is saying it needs to go because it's not meant to be sitting still and focusing on one thing. It's not about mastering one thing. It's about being a jack of all trades and understanding your surroundings, self Spirit awareness is self and everything and everyone around you. Risito por gamoy. Kaseto to risikita por shamo. Buristo is sude. But it's a girl. Wisdom is the feminine. They say the protection is a man. But I have to say, I see more women, more feminine energy standing up. And why? Because women come with the actual that's yan. Demonic laugh, good. Yes, to puristi tutorial. You should know. Seriously. Eletto queríamos saber que dimos publicidad. You think of it this way, you look in the animal kingdom, okay? And who is it that you see most defending the children? Because they have to defend the children from their own fucking father because they want to eat them because they gotta be king. Gotta be ruler. He's from water. It loose for I'll tell you, that's what makes you more than men. Just because you think you have big muscles, it doesn't mean. But just because you have big muscles, it doesn't mean that you're not soft and caring either. Because a lot of the ones with the big muscles, they're actually very caring people. It's like we do things, okay, with regards to the muscle thing. You look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, Arnold, you really did bad for yourself. It's like he was bodybuilding. You dysmorph your body because you're trying to take it out of its natural state. So sometimes it looks really gross. I'm sorry, but bodybuilders, I find that on unattractive for the most part because, like, why do you need these veins? What are you trying to compensate for? Don't let that shoot you down. Because I know that there's ones that they do it because they're in bodybuilding. And I know two people who are in bodybuilding. Well, and one of them, it was, well, I mean, their self-esteem was low. But one, it was because they felt smaller than everyone. So they figured bodybuilding and weightlifting was going to make them feel better about themselves. To the point where you endanger your own physical health and mental health and well-being. The same person I said about, like, I have school, would you come and teach this stuff? Or they had a supplement, but they didn't want to do it because it would mean that they would have to keep up with the physical body. And that's the thing. Like, everybody thinks that having the big muscles and everything like that makes for a physically healthy body. but that's not it at all. I do believe that this person should find a way to bring their supplement forward because they will really want something big. Whether they get into the fitness industry or not. And then I have another person I know in family, and they were really heavy their whole life. And they went and they got healthy and they become a bodybuilder. And going into these competitions helps them feel good about themselves because of where they came and where they are now. People get used to someone looking a certain way. So then when they change their ways and they become somebody that people aren't used to, you pick out a flaw. I'm proud of those two people. I put up for them. I guess both the masculine and feminine are each proud of them because they're saying it together. It's a good way because of certain things. People don't follow their dreams because of other people. You got to be a certain way. You have to do this because you got to make money. Fuck your dreams, right? Well, it's just a real issue. If you're not happy in your job, look for something else, even while you're working. Seriously. If they're not giving you any respect at your job and you find a new job, what's the difference? It should be like, should be able to show what you can do and not worry if the person has a certificate or not. The person can do the work. What the fuck's the difference whether they got the goddamn fucking piece of paper? Seriously, you stole money for that, right? Look what you already know how to do. Even if you know how to do it, you're still gonna go get dumb because then it teaches you something that's different. I'd rather have somebody knowing what they were doing by experience because then they could actually understand the concept of the job or the work. It's a pretty, hey, sorry, I have another family member that wasting their fucking talent. I know so many people who are wasting their fucking talent to work in a fucking job they hate, and people take advantage of them. They can't put him, you know, most people, like extended family, they don't even fucking know who I am. They know the rest of my family, but they don't know me. They don't know who I am. It's like I feel like people don't love you because the way they treat you and the way they act. Love yourself and show them what true love is. It's like that Justin Bieber song, Go and Love Yourself. Mother doesn't like her because she doesn't like his friend. He says, Go and love yourself. And you should. You should love yourself. And people want to laugh, just hear them not laughing. It's like a releasing. They had it good. I'm like a fucking woman. I like having my peace, but I love being that. Not to tell them off or anything like that. Just it's like somebody said to me, I wish you could see yourself how I see you. And I understand that because it's like I want others to see what I see that they don't see because they can't see through the pain. It's like, is it a curse? Is it a hindrance? Is it a burden? No, it's pretty fucking confusing at times, but it's neither. It's a way to understand others. It is. It's hard finding that person who understands. Not in a way of feeding off each other's pain, but in an understanding and being able to heal. Because that's when you realize that you're not the only one who experienced it. When they put people in group therapy, sometimes it's about, it ends up being about one upping the other, and then you just feed off each other's pain so you can't maneuver through it because it becomes that constant reminder. It's not being having that around others, but it is having that with yourself and whatever it is that you're working on or having someone help you read it for yourself. And when I say read it for yourself, it's helping you learn how to go inward and see what it is that you're trying to see. What you because they know that there's certain things that you have seen in the past, or certain things that you feel like you can't move on from it because you regret not doing something that you do something like that and you keep doing. And then later you have that dream about something. Oh, the person that dream represented. See, it's hard if you have like a person in your family that can read, and you don't want them reading for you. The reason why like people don't want them reading is because it's like there's stuff that they know from their past or what have you. But sometimes they're the best ones. You might get mad at me. Like I said, I'm here to ask questions. I'm here to bring things forward. That's why I say I'll make you laugh, I'll make you cry, I'll piss you off. I'm here to poke the bear to bring the poison out. And sometimes you just gotta have that little argument where it's just gonna spill out like beans and then it's gonna be like raw on you. Because it's that inner feeling, that's inner secret as to why there's conflict. But you know, the ones that are, well, say the ones that are running the country, they just want to have their peppers up and go like that, and do it to one another to boost each other's. And then the ones that won't conform to that behavior, you want to gang up on them like fucking bullies. It's like you, okay, we'll use United States, Russia, and Ukraine. Okay, we'll use those for. And I got that. People are really touchy on that. Okay, the U.S. is a bully. Russia is a bully. Okay, you have a security guy, and you have a real estate developer, and they're ganging up on a Seriously, you know the problems were there before. Like if you're saying about what was is transpiring in Ukraine, the problems were there before this little dude came in, the comedian, and like Putin is saying he's got pictures of Donald Trump giving Bubba his mouth stroke. Okay, that's what he's saying as pictures of. Which you know somebody did put that up on TikTok where it was happening where he was ready to undo his pants, a picture. He was like, well, who took that picture? Who took it? Well, oh, it was a blackmail. Oh, goddamn fuck! Oh, okay, so Bill was set Trump up because Lulu and Hillary Clinton was standing off this one. Why is there a black man? Oh, good. Is it good? And it's great, but Donald Dillon still do the job. They had the, remember a while ago, I said we have a nice little triangle going on. Hey, you know, here's your, like, you know, you got the live soap opera going on. That's why you're not paying attention to your fucking life. Yes, and what the hell? You know, I think the whole works of them better go get tested for STDs because they're spreading them. So weird. More water, please. Have a nice bag of water next to me. Yes, it's a lot of plastic bottles, I know. But I don't drink tap water when I go places. So I bought it for when I go places. Okay. Really? You know, it's like if you're fucking gay, you're gay. If you're bisexual, you're bisexual. And you know, my my ex-husband did say that when you have these like communes and what have you, and he said it's a bunch of elderly people, they're having multiple partners. I guess he was talking about the government. Because little bit now. Tulisika muuta esa. Susa moko ya ikusia ya sasa. Sututui. Spirit to Spirit, my channel. If you're taking offense to it, well, I guess you're connected to those spirits that is going spirit to spirit. Tulisiki mutate. So, let's see. It's like I will say, I just read a comment, and the person must have got offended by something I said. But the irony of it all is pretty fucking awesome. And aren't those the same people that tell you you shouldn't? Well, that's hold on. TikTok just died on me because my phone died. But they still talk to him. Almost use this tiny little games. He needs a little bit of electricity. Pretty super, very super, sugar. Well, that sucks. Let's turds. Oh, I can't do that. But I can't hear. Padecito, padecito. Russia, what the fuck just happened there? Oh, so I'm doing a little thing on here for to put on TikTok for the follow up of the live. People will think that like it's not like it's not making fun of people. I don't give a shit if it's lesbian, bisexual, what have you. You know, just don't spread diseases. People's sexuality is their own, whether we think it's right or wrong. Okay, because I had an experience where with certain people would say about my sexuality, but in actuality, what they needed to do is they had to take a look at in their own family. Okay, because to shoot someone else down and see it differently, it don't make sense. So having a look in your own home before you judge the home of others. Now, when I said about Hillary Clinton being the one that took the photo of Bill and Donald Trump, it was a form of blackmail. And Putin actually had it in the wall. Okay. It was like, passing the ball. The ball is in your court. Here's the evidence we have against you. If you don't do as we said, then we will expose you. So maybe, who knows? Maybe Donald Trump is bringing forward his own exposure, but not saying what people say he's innocent. You'll say things about certain individuals, but you say that he's innocent. But no matter how you look at it right now, even if he was doing it because he's being blackmailed or for whatever nefarious reason, whatever reason, he was once, even if he pulled out of it now, he was once part of it. He could get infiltrated into things. CIA agent for freaking Russia. And some say that Jeffrey Epstein was an agent for fucking Israel. You know, it's like okay, you have, when you look in, you say Christianity, like people are saying about the religions, the child trafficking in the Catholic religion, in the Christian religion, they're all in there together. Okay. Because if one's doing it, the rest are all doing it too, because you have two sides to each part. But you won't see it that way, right? So if Donald Trump is Russia and you say Jeffrey Epstein was Israel or what have you, and they're both in competition with one another, Pinky and the Brain, no matter what side you look at it, it's Pinky and the Brain, and neither one of them have a brain together, let alone individually. One wants to conquer the world, and the other one wants to be goofy and have a little fun along the way, like not together, what have you. Okay, so who was the smart one? Okay, because you'll say about Jeffrey and Donald Trump, who was the smart one? Let me take you back. They're time travelers. You won't believe that, right? I'll take you back. Donald McGinnis and Samuel Baum from Oak Island. It was once called, Samuel Ball owned an island called Sam's Island, which was once called Oak Island, which happened to be the name of the street that Jeffrey Epstein lived on. So my question is, you have a decoy. How would you go to an island that there's no house on it, but yet Donald Trump knows people who live on it? It's just not far off the coast of Halifax, the home bay. They all have the underground, and Donald Trump wants here. So maybe the Canadian military needs to go check out Sam's Island, and maybe you should check out Oak Island. Maybe there's on there's Mark's Island. That's what people are talking about. You're saying it's happening in the church. It's happening in your government. Don't you think that they're together on it? Or are they in competition for their brothels and their rituals? This is what Christianity is. Both sides of the Christ consciousness. Crucifier and the religion. Government, religion. Crucify for any small infractions, even if it's stealing, and then your religion. Of you have to be holier than thou. both sides say, you have to be holy. If you're not holy, then you're crucified. If you're stealing a loaf of bread, then you're to feed your family, you're not holy, and you get crucified. When are you not getting crucified from Christian or Christian? I'm just asking. Because it's either one or the other. Well, it's actually both at the same time. They're just coming in at you at the same time because one's distracting you and the other one's sneaking in on you like a predator, like a pedophile or the crook breaking in because they need some food. And then people feel unsafe because somebody's trying to feed them something and they get frightened. No, seriously, but you have to ask yourself, why are people actually doing it? People say, oh, this is fun. Well, if they're doing it for fun, maybe they're the rich kids doing it for fun. And they're doing it to less fortunate kids because they're bullies. Do you know how much dignity it takes for somebody to ask or, you know, go to a food bank or go to a food shelter or go to one of those um, lunch supper places, homeless, they get to go in for 9 o'clock in the morning. Don't you think you're a little fucking bully? And don't you think that there should be safer spaces for those people? Should there be a place where, they have a chance to feel like they're worth something, that they feel they can contribute to society in a way that they know would help, but you don't listen to them because they wear dirty clothes and they stink and they have no. You know that there was a man in Halifax, and then in public places. Say hi to my mom. Man in Halifax, he dressed like a homeless man and he had these big, but he appeared to be homeless. People would have thought those were just fake. But he was extremely wealthy. Some people will actually go out and make themselves appear to be homeless to see how people react. And then they'll put themselves in the regular state and see how people react. My question is, if you were a homeless person, what would you want people to do for you? See, I think it's the candidate for premier in Manitoba. He says about going and getting people on the streets. And people are up in fury with that. Okay. You want the people off your streets because you're probably homes and low lives and drug addicted. But when they want to implement a help to get them off the streets and off the drugs, who's fighting it? The ones who are supplying the drugs and trafficking the people? Who's fighting this to happen? Because if they were given that safe space where they could learn to be part of a society and not feel like they were in the matrix and being somebody's go for it or bitch. A lot of them feel and unloved. They're runaways, usually from drug infected houses, or because there's been like sexual things going on with the child and they run away from home. And it doesn't have to be necessarily a parent. It could be somebody that goes to the home and they just can't be around it anymore. And then they're taken and then they put into prostitution. They go through foster care families sometimes because a lot of people they say that foster care is helping them. There are families that they do it, they just need the money and they don't give a shit about the kids. Hey, the kids are in foster care. Maybe they, I mean, for that, fine. But as far as giving them money to buy their clothes and things like that, that's where, I'll be honest, that's where the government or the what you perceive to be the child protection agency, the one that's overseeing them, they should be informed of what the child needs, and then them obtain it and give it to the child, and then that way the money is not being misused. And keep an eye on the foster parents, not just the parents who took the child from which probably some help would have actually alleviated your foreseeable issue because there were signs, and the person was probably asking for help long before it got to any extent, and you just let it go on deaf ears. Just saying, every problem can be foreseeable, but you refuse to see it before it gets to a point where that happens. It's just another profitable part of the governmental organization. Because there are children that don't need to be removed from the home, but there are children in a home that does need to be removed from the home. And that's where it don't make sense. I know people who had their children removed from the home. And it was something that, just needed to be addressed. The child didn't need to be removed from the home. Removed from the home. The parent just needed some understanding and not being seen as being a bad parent because they need some help. Because they're only going, sometimes it's because they're only going by how they were parents. So it's working to break that cycle. Because in the end, when you hurt the child, you're actually hurting yourself too, because that's you. You're always birthing yourself, whether you're birthing the male version of you or the female version of you. Buenísimo, y hay felicidades. That's why a parent should never say to their child, I know when you grow up, you know, kids are growing out just like you. Because my dad and mom spoke too soon because they adopted my oldest son. And, you know, he acts just like me. And, you know, to a point, I'm proud of him, but he has his own thing too. That, you know, I guess they could say it's something that I do too. And one of the big things we have in common, in all versions of it, we're all stubborn. And it stems from the mother father, which in retrospect is the mother brother, or yeah, the brother sister, and also so the father and mother, the brother and sister, and the mother and son. Okay, because if you go back, if you're looking through what happened, you had Uranus and Gaia. Gaia gave birth to Uranus, which what I got before was when she came down, she already had him in childhood, and that was the seed of the blood, which would make that brother and sister. They were the mother and father of the children because they made babies together. They were brother and sister because the seed of the mother was implanted in the daughter. Oh, shit. And then the daughter gave birth to her husband slash brother and now son. I know it sounds pretty fucked up, but look at it. You Gaia gave birth to Uranus. The mother seed, and then the baby. That's like, so really God. The mother of the seed. But the seed was a male, so came from the heavens. Yes, I have those there because I have to get Milo used to going in the other part now. So that's what the fuck. And I'm live. Can I help you with something? You know, I spoke. Strong, strong. I can feel that. And he's up there too, hitting the punching speed back because when he hits that, it makes a bang sound. And that's how I know what it is. It's the spirit. And that was the spirit that gets it that we said that the supervision. It's you understand so much more when you understand the spirit. You start understanding what comes in because you looked back, looking back at your own genealogy. Because my sixth grade grandparents had 12 kids, but I know I had a couple of them. I like to be ladies. Yep. Some asshole news. Fun sometimes, but he could be nice. Sometimes they like to pick fights because he was angry. And how do I know that? Because he's showing. So you come sit on my table now, do you? Just sit there, finish it, right? Okay. It's like I know what spirit it is. It's the great granddaddy. You know, the great granddaddy was actually named Chaos. I said it was a woman. Oh, they both brought chaos. Both the great granddaddy and the great Grammy. Because I see one as being religious and the other one being as spiritual. And she understood his part, most part, but he didn't. I'm shown what the relationship was like. It was like, I'll say, you know how people talk about Donald Trump and Elon Musk? Something like that. And what I mean by that, I just questioned say I watched the thing that said Monica was keeping and it was like my sixth grade grandpa took me back to school. And I think I want to get this right because it's like I'm being shown that this sixth grade group before she knew that the girl was his daughter and who they were a child. He had sexual relations with her before he knew that she was his daughter. But I'm going to sit with that for a while because that's what I'm being shown. But it's taking me to the part of, I'm just questioning this, okay? Because people say that Veronica doesn't want his daughter. I'm going to question, is that Ivonica's daughter? Is that Ivonica Donald's daughter? And she doesn't want the daughter going through the same thing that she went through? Is that true? Right. I'm not trying to pull your hair. I'm just giving you a good enough further. Okay, if you're gonna bite me, you're gonna get down because you got your nails full. So, you know, other people are speculating things. So, hey, am I speculating or am I questioning? See, people will even say that his niece probably just wrote a bunch of. But I have a book. I have a book. I have the books there even. No, 'cause I'm gonna rely on spirit to show me. But do I believe that's well, she does say, well, with regards to the family. all others can be good. I'm not picking sides, but I am questioning a lot of things. Is everything they say about Donald Trump true? Like anything, there's lies in there along with truth, and that's to keep you distracted. That's why you get the constant back and forth, and you know, Trump is always blaming the Democrats for everything. See, did someone cut a deal that if they did what they're doing now, that it would kind of keep them out of it? Because there's a lot of people now switching sides, but are you like you might be switching sides, but are you taking responsibilities? Are you taking responsibility for the actions that you're going to take, or are you still playing the game? Because you still because all it takes is one person to say the people, not the people are really teaching. That's not the action putting in the thing to have it. Because I'll tell you right now, if they're all doing what they say they're doing, then all of them would say, okay, impeachment. But once they do that, then none of them have any cards to hold. Ugh. You know, Donald Trump wears a mask, but you all know that because that's not Donald Trump. Like I said, I believe Donald Trump had a twin brother. Oh. But you don't know about that, right? Excuse me, confirmation. Oh, wow, that one hurt. Hurt just a little. Excuse me. You know, hey, 17 que Muay Thai. De su conosce la eno con eno huisa. Su que tomé. Su tai. You know, I like sitting here questioning this stuff and spirit bringing just different things forward and it just working because it's shocking for me too. It's like a little kid going around. Holy shit! All right, which one do you collect? That's just had a few drinks. Y cierto también mucho de yes, yeah. sucumbe. Es sudah sudah selalu dulu. Así que no hay nada de esa parte. Sudah you guys got attitude. But it's the way to it's super cool. Sì, so much. Yeah. So yeah, so so you can read this well, you say gibberish, people say tongues, but I call it spirit because spirit is the energy in us. Here, want me to take the wheel for you? Like, seriously, what do you think of what the it's today on? I didn't know one day whether to take it because when I was speaking like this, someone looked at me and said, I want to be like that. Like, and I didn't know whether to take it or how to take it because I've had people say I don't want to be like that. And then for someone to say, I want to be like that, they want to be able to do what I do. Asshole. Back in 99, this song had a lot to do with what I used to do. I did wrong with this song. First time I heard it, but I had thought that they were seeing someone else. And that it was friend. And it was Bethel and it was like 2 weeks later. I was like, the guy that he had died. This guy who gave me a ring of the clothes and everything. And he took them off. And it's up for 2 weeks later. And this guy said to me, did you know that so and so? He said that they committed suicide. What did somebody, his best friend, really good people, I haven't seen it And he's really, really familiar with the physician was I went to the physician and he removed all the space circulation and all of that. And we went to the funeral. When I went home, his best friend somewhere, and then back we just had a celebration of life that night. Shit, that was really fucked up. His best friend, because him and I both knew that it was felt right. We just knew it was. And others would believe that, but me and his best friend knew that, like, because there was just something that didn't add up, and his best friend would know because that night his best friend had to go, and he was running the door because he was going to go. And I ran out. So it was good. And I tapped the foot. We didn't get to when I was going to, and I tapped him at the foot of the stairs and took the gun out of his hand. And I took the gun from his hand and threw it down the hole. And I was in the bathroom, and I was just like I was going nuts in the sink. I took the sink and I just shook it and I tore it off the wall. No, no. And that's why I use more than 99. What happened to him? It said murdered over mushrooms, and it said someone's name, which I knew he was a bad person anyways. Like he took someone and dragged him down the stairs with a hair out of car and then chased the guy down and beat him with brass knuckles. Then he was defeated. And when this guy, he wouldn't go to the Brazil. And, and that night, the board told me, and nobody in the room knew anything about him or it or anything like that. And that was in yeah, it was May 31st, which happened to be 5 years, 4 years later that I ended up in the hospital. 6 days prior to that, that's when I started using the Ouija board. No, I started using the Ouija board before that. I started using around the 1st of May, and then by the 25th of May, I was asking for him. And then after they took it out, it was 25th that I asked the Spirit. It was the 31st of May that I was admitted to the hospital. Not the same year, 4 years later. And when I was in the hospital, I had said this before. Got up and I went in the smoke room in the middle of the night, and there was a guy sitting in there, and he looked identical to this guy that I'm talking about. Only his name was Philip. Gave him Philip. The next morning, I asked him where he was. There's no one here with him. So certain things trigger certain memories, and that's the part of trying to figure out why it triggered me. Years later, people thought that I was trying to cause trouble with others. He didn't take his own life. His life was taken. And they're saying it was covered because there was an altercation, got out of hand, so they had to put the body in the car and they wouldn't go fast. And that's why his husband, he said that he believed that it was. That was why I used it. And that song, Mr. Jones and Me, that was the one I'd always hear. This is his favorite song. They say there's certain people in our life just touch us a certain way. But at that time, I wasn't married because I was going to get married at 22, and I went and tried my wedding dress on. I went and tried a wedding dress on to get married, to get ready for the wedding. Like, and it was like no, and I called it off because it wasn't who I wanted to be with or where I wanted to be, and I got married years later, divorced. But to some religions, so that's against the religion. Yeah, for somebody to say, you're not, you're married to your dead, whether you're divorced or not. And it's like, yeah, that's what you fucking do. Because if you can, in your marriage, you can overcome your differences and you truly want the marriage, then communicate. There's some marriages that a lot of arranged, even when it's not even known to the person that then there's some that people get really good at convenience, whether mine loved him, but we got married to bring my son. There are others who get married to bring someone over from another country. But there's some that legitimately have that with them. Love is not supposed to be hard. Love is meant to come natural. It's like the flow. It's not that you're not going to have a difference of beliefs or opinions. It's, are you going to understand each other's? And, you know, what's the harm in celebrating each other's? It's culture. No matter how you look at it, it's all part of everyone's history, all intertwined together. That's where people don't want to see that. That's why I say, look into your genealogy and you will find out a lot. But if you don't look into your genealogy, then what right, like really, what right do you have to say about what's happening within the religion or the political or just the everyday people? There's where the difference in Christianity and progressive and the way it's brought forward and taught. But spirituality isn't taught, it's taught. It's understood internally and externally because you have the heart to see. And if you didn't get that, then I feel very sorry for you because it's the heart that sees love, and it's the eyes that sees the physical. The heart sees the spirit, the eyes see the physical. It's bringing the manifestation of the heart into the physical, the projection. That's why I said, like, haven't, okay, I said it before, and people say about flat Earth and round Earth, and I'm giving a theory of two halves coming together through a core, the apple core. Okay, so the heaven and the earth, and this is the center core. Okay, you feel a lot in the gut, hence the gut. Okay, that's the center of the core. That's, you could say digestion, but also it's the projection, because in the core it can either make you throw up, so bringing it upward, or it can push it down and body farted, but he really shit himself. Okay, this is the portal, this is the in between. Okay, sometimes you feel this is where the war is. Okay, because that's where you do a lot of your digestion and clearings and what have you. Everything goes out through here, right in the middle. So a projection up, a projection down, giving the illusion of a round Earth, which is actually, this is going to sound fucked up, but you say about the mothership, well, if there's a mothership, there's a fathership. And right now, there's a conflict between the two. The separation. Okay. So when you're getting the shifting, that's the core. Okay. That's the inner part of the core breaking apart. Okay. But the two shifts where they connect together, because it's a shift like this, like that, but then it has, when you have different planes but outer space, they gas up it or fuel up at certain places, right? And you hook in, or a ship hooks into another ship, right? That's what it is. They're hooking in together. And that's why you have, that's would be what you have as much like in the Earth, of where you say all the domes are and everything like that. You say they're coming out from the water. Geresututai, Sukumoya. Sui, Sui, Yoshum, Yoshumui, everything is Sui. They ate the apple, they ate the apple and left the core. So it's not it's not so much the apple. The apple is what gives the knowledge to show you the core, to show you the truth. But I don't care. You look at me like I'm fucked in the head or have 100 heads. Everybody else likes to throw their theory out there, but maybe mine does make sense. Never eat the shredded wheats, because there's a whole lot more than shredded wheat in there. Some add a little bit of sugar and spice, and not something so nice all the time. Istitupurino nessa shukuri. Eħna mulkni amukuri għajsa. Situpuri. Mushra. Got me doing this again, do you? Assolutamente. Okay, get down there. You're like, if I'm gonna get going. Okay. I'm not gonna do cards tonight because I just need to chill right now. Basically, super showing me. So, with that being said, I'm sending you all much love, light, many blessings, supporting very good health to anyone and everyone wanting to see themselves. Potential to be big, go greatly supporting. Be yourself, be your authentic self, be true and kind to yourself, be true and kind to others, and know that you have no strength. You got this. Sicurezza,